Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and in today's video we are checking out Android 14. We're going to go over what it supports and of course all the new in-depth features. Now a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to be doing this review on my Google Pixel 7a, but it's also available on the following devices. It's going to be available on the Pixel 4a 5G, the Pixel 5, the 5a 5G, the 6 and 6 Pro, the Pixel 6a, the 7 and 7 Pro, the Pixel 7a that I've got here, the Pixel tablet, and of course the newer devices like the Pixel Fold and the Google Pixel 8 and 8 Pro, which of course are now available. Now keep in mind this is the last available update for the Pixel 4a 5G as it's reaching that 3-year mark. However, like Google has recently announced with the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro, and hopefully moving forward, you're going to be getting 7 years worth of software updates. Now it's still a little bit unsure in regards to what those updates look like. Are they going to be full-fledged updates that all of the devices get, slightly scaled down things, only security? It's a little bit hard to tell at the moment, but then again, if you buy a Pixel 8 today, are you really going to be using that same device in 7 years time? So now you know if your phone supports it, let's get into what's new with Android 14. And of course with all new versions of Android you get a brand new Easter egg this year. Android 14 has a bit of a space theme going on to it, and that's to go along with the space theme logo for this year's release. So as always, go into your settings, about phone, Android version, then quickly tap on the Android version. There's also a little mini game before you get to launch the rocket, and in general it's a little neat idea, and compared to previous offerings I do like the fact that there's kind of a game built in that also has some Easter eggs of its own, but I'll leave you to find those. There's an improved share screen which is a welcome change. Much like with iOS, Android is all about sharing, and they've made some good changes here. This is along with some changes to some interface animations. You have a new look to home screen pop-ups when you long press on an icon, the previously mentioned share menu, and finally a theming option that's full black and white with a little bit of grey between. So if you don't want to see any colour then you won't do, but more on theming later. There's also a new clipboard feature, meaning no huge pop-ups on screen anymore. It's more discreet while still providing all of the stuff that you need. You also have some awesome features for locking and unlocking the device. The screen has a nice on-off animation depending on if it's the side button or fingerprint unlock, or if it's face unlock with the new Pixel devices, with some nice playful animations for the pin unlock as well. You also now have the option to auto unlock when entering a pin, and this is something that I've been using on iPhone for many years now, so it's great to see on Android. But there is one thing that I'm still not happy with, and it is the length of the pin that you need to have this feature. So with an iPhone, if you've got a 4-digit number, once you enter that 4th number, your phone automatically unlocks. Now with Android, you can do that, but it has to be 6 or more digits. So again, with Android at the moment, if you've got a 4-digit passcode, once you enter your 4th number, you also then have to press the enter button, which yes, it's just one extra step and you're already on that screen, but for it to just automatically unlock would be nice to have. And they can do it with 6 or more, so why not 4? We've also got a ton of updates to security with Android 14. There are some more sideloading restrictions with this newest release. Now, don't get me wrong, I love to sideload an APK from time to time, but there's nothing worse than downloading an app called Flappy Bird, for example, only to be greeted with a link to a not so safe for work website. Now, I will link below exactly what this means, but in practice, it's more for older apps with SDK versions of under 23. So basically, apps and programs from over 7 years ago may now not work as intended. But then again, why are you trying to use an app from 2015 that hasn't been updated in over 7 years? The Android permission screen has also had a nice cleanup, making it easier to see what you're saying yes or no to. However, I do find it a little bit strange when I go into the camera, it asks me, do you want to have access to the camera? And there are also some changes to some of the icons up in the top toolbar just next to the clock for things like silent and ring. And then of course we get onto the theming options, which is pretty much one of the, if not the biggest thing with Android 14. And I just want to go into this before we go really deep into the theming side of things. You've been able to customize Android for many years now, whether it's installing a custom launcher, icon pack, font, or just in general making the device look and feel how you want to. You've been able to do that for so long. So why, oh why, do we have themed icons on the Pixel devices that are still in beta? It's a little bit strange, and adding an icon to your home screen that isn't themed definitely ruins the overall look. And yes, of course, all the Google ones are going to be themed and look very nice and very Material You and along with the theming options that you've got. But if I want to add Instagram to my home screen, for example, one of the biggest applications on the planet, why does it still look like Instagram? But with that one little issue out the way, the theming on Android is actually pretty good now and natively built into the OS. You've got tons of options for the lock screen, including the clock, how it looks, where it's positioned, colors, fonts, and of course you can now change these shortcuts on your home screen as well for when your phone is locked and you want to enter, for example, your Google Wallet or the camera. You can do that directly from the lock screen now by just changing the shortcuts, which again is really nice to see. However, it is still easier to access the camera just by double pressing the power button. Along with the theming options, you've also got some really nice options for the color palette that you want to be using. However, for some reason, even something like iOS sometimes has better options. On a Pixel device, for example, you can't just pick one specific color. If you want your theme to be red, blue, or green, you don't have the option to do so. It has predefined ones that you can pick from, but you can't just go into a color picker or color wheel and choose any theming option. So what I've got here is my iPhone 15 Pro, go into the theming options, go onto the clock, change the color, and I can choose from any color that's available. I do the same thing on my Android device, and you've got color palettes to choose from. So it's a little bit strange that Android, one of the most customizable OSs out there, can't let you pick just red, for example. It has to be something that Google wants you to use, and this can be based on a majority of things. It can be based on the wallpaper you're using, or just some other theming options that you've got on at the time, but it would be nice just to go in and pick a specific color. Now, I think why Google does this is because if you look at the theming options on Android, when you go in to select something and you select a color, if you go to your lock screen and look at your clock, for example, it's not that one specific color, it's different hues of that color palette that you've chosen. So maybe if you just chose specifically a blood red color, for example, it then wouldn't look very good because on the home screen it's just one bold color, which some people may or may not be a fan of. But overall, the theming options on Android are pretty good now. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near what you're going to be getting if you install something like Nova Launcher or another launcher of your choice, but in terms of being able to theme icons, which has still got a little bit of a way to go, and of course customizing your home screen, your lock screen, and just in general the color palette of your device as well, it's a pretty good nice step forward. Now, on newer devices like the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro, you also have AI generated wallpapers, which would be nice to see on some older versions of Android, but for some reason that's not doable. Now, don't get me wrong, the new Tensor chip from Google is definitely more powerful than what I've got here in my 7A, but in terms of generating some wallpapers, it's a little bit of a shame that it hasn't gone down to older devices. And that's kind of what I mean with regards to those 7 years of software updates. Is it going to be that the newer devices get some things that the older devices don't get? Because as we've seen, even with the 8 and 8 Pro, there's now feature differences between those two devices that have come out the same year, the same chip, same internals, but for some reason Google is just locking things off. Kind of like another company that uses a fruit to advertise itself. Locking off features is not good, and also buying devices on the promise of future updates is also something that I wouldn't recommend, especially from a company like Google that destroys and kills tons of projects on a yearly basis. Just kind of buy the phone for what it has at the time. And to be honest guys, that's kind of it with Android 14. Now I'm going to link a different review in the comments section down below that features the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro to see if there are any major differences, but just in general I do think that this version of Android is nice, maybe not worth a full software update. We'll see how it goes moving forward, but for now that's it on Android 14. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. If you've got any other questions or comments, or just want to know anything else about my device or setup, let me know in the comments section below as well for some future videos that are upcoming. If you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to do so, and of course once you hit that subscribe button, don't forget to turn on the notifications so you're notified anytime I post a video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.